This is WeBurlesque.
Welcome to WEBurlesque Black Caucus 2026, right? Because this is just the year that we are here doing our thing. I have with me the one, the only, Reign Supreme.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here. And you're no stranger to the microphone, as
That's right.
you are a producer host on Assorted Chocolates.
I am. That's right.
Cool. So you can give me pointers and tell me how I'm
Sure.
doing the things.
I'm sure you're going to do fine. I'm not even worried about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you once again, Abby. Fantastic for joining our session of Burlesque and, for the Black Caucus.
Yep, I am just turning on my camera now. Are you home?
I'm home. I made
Oh, you
it.
made it. Okay, good.
Yes, we got to meet at the Minnesota Burlesque Festival, the Minneapolis Burlesque Festival. I wanted to start an open topic, and the open topic I would love to start with that I hope you get into is, who was the first Black burlesque performer you saw, aside from Josephine Baker? Who
Okay, yeah,
was the
obviously.
first, who was the first Black performer you saw on
The
stage?
first Black performer I saw on stage was the main attraction. And it was like 2008 or 2009 at the Galapagos Art Space, which is not here anymore, but it was in Dumbo, Brooklyn. My friend Jason, at the time he was an aerialist and he was working at the Trapeze School in New York, and I used to go to see him perform sometimes at the Galapagos Art Space, and I saw the main attraction there, and I was just like, oh, and I didn't know a whole lot about burlesque. I didn't really know much about it at all. I had seen the Josephine Baker movie when I was a kid, that came out with Lynn Whitfield, but that was really the extent of my knowledge. But I started going to these shows called Floating Cabaret, and I saw the main attraction there. Yeah, and I've told her this a couple of times, like, you were the first Black performer I saw on stage, and she every time I tell her that, she's like,
Wow. And so did you ever get to see them again after that? Did you actually get to perform with them on a show
yeah,
together?
I've done shows with her. She's booked me for shows. I mean, because she's also in New York. She's not
Hmm.
anymore. She just left. She went to California, but yeah, we're like friends now.
Wow, that's
But she
amazing.
wasn't the person who made me realize I could do it was Poison Ivory. Because she was the first person
Mm.
I saw. So, okay, I know this is not what you asked, but I'm just
No,
gonna
let's
say it
go
anyway.
elaborate.
Yeah. So I saw the main attraction, but she was the only Black person I saw for a while perform.
Mm.
Uh and I saw Pearl Noir also much later. But because I was friends with this guy Jason, and a lot of his friends were performers, I became friends with a lot of performers, but most of them were white.
Mm.
Um, and then shortly after Poison won her crown in 2016, I met her and we became friends, and that was kind of more what made me see myself in it because, you know, this Black woman around my age won the biggest title in burlesque.
Hmm.
She's not like from some fancy background. She was, just a girl from the hood like me,
Hmm.
and I was just like, oh. And also that same year in 2016, I went to an all Black burlesque show for the first time. I went to three of them, three different
Wow.
shows, all with all Black casts. And she was in two of the three the shows that I went to. But yeah, then I was just like, okay, because I didn't really know much about the Black burlesque scene in New York. I knew
Hmm.
more of it's kind of segregated. So I knew more of it's a lot less segregated now, and there are much more Black shows than there used to be.
It used to be.
But at the time there weren't many. And it was very segregated. So when I was going to these burlesque shows before I met Poison, most of the people I would see were white. If I saw a Black person, it was like maybe one or
Mhm.
maybe two. Very, very rarely more than one,
Wow.
though.
So it's like the first
Yeah.
person you saw wasn't like the first person that influenced you to go into burlesque, it
No, it
sounds like.
wasn't.
And that's a good thing, I think, to be like,
Yeah.
okay, actually, I had these experiences
Yeah.
in seeing Black burlesque performers from the first
Yeah.
time. That's amazing. Amazing. Abby, fantastic. I would also love to ask you the opening topic question of who was the first Black burlesque performer you saw on stage with your eyes?
I think I know who it is, but go ahead, you say it.
Femme appeal.
I knew it. I knew that's what you were gonna say.
Okay,
Yeah.
was it really? Tell me more. Tell me about the show
Um,
experience.
yeah. Well, Femme Appeal ran a show called Kitty Nights here, which is had given a lot of us our first chances on stage. But my best friend at the time um, had just was a baby performer, and I went to Kitty Nights to see her. And at that point, I kind of made a decision that I wanted to perform, but I was doing other things. I was doing like sketch comedy and stand up and all of that stuff. And I was
Wow.
kind of pounding the pavement around New York as like an actor. But watching my best friend, who was for all intents and purposes kind of like a really introverted nerd, like get up on stage and take her clothes off was
With
very
love, introverted
amazing.
love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very amazing. And I just loved that for her and I wanted that for me. And Femme not only hosted this show, but got on stage and was just like Femme is like no one I've ever seen before. And that was something that I just really, really needed to see.
Mhm.
Her the way she moves, the
Yeah.
risk she takes, and the fact that she's open to everybody's burlesque. Like that, I remember that night seeing so many different things. Um, but watching her, from the school of like, not the school, but like, the generation of like Stormy Leather and Nasty Canasta and
Mm,
and Joe Weldon, like Femme really stands out as somebody who does burlesque at her own way and is her own game. And
mhm.
for me at that point in New York City, um, I didn't really see anybody like that. And
Wow.
so for her to be,
Especially someone black.
yeah, and for her to be like in her own lane, a black woman, but also providing this space for, other people to express themselves. It was like a big game changer for me. Like that's when I knew that this was something that I could do.
So it sounds like you had a Black burlesque performer that you saw on stage. It wasn't quite the same burlesque performer that like launched your being like, oh, this is what I want to do.
No,
So
no,
that's
it was definitely Femme was like, this is when I knew that this is what I wanted to do. Like I had an idea that it was what I wanted to do, but when I saw Femme, I was like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. Exactly
wow.
what I want to be doing.
That's amazing. I just love
Yeah.
that. That it's just like it expanded, it grew, and
Hmm.
that's, brilliant. And I think Black burlesque and there's like something for everybody. Mm.
Yeah. And to this day, she's the person, I would definitely consider her one of my burlesque moms. She's somebody who has always been there for me, especially if I'm having like a crisis of, like, is this something that I want to do? Is this idea too crazy? She's almost always going to tell me no.
Yes,
It's
yes.
That's not too
just do
crazy. Yeah.
it.
What was
Um,
yours?
Mine, okay, so I started the pandemic, or I started the burlesque after the pandemic. So before the pandemic,
Pandemic.
I know the
Like
pandemic
Nicole
says
Byer. Do you
so.
listen to Nicole Byer? That's what that reminds me of every time I
Yes,
hear
I
someone
do. I
say that.
love
She's like,
Nicole
the
Scherzinger.
pandemic.
The pandemic. I was first acquainted with burlesque through the internet, through
Mhm.
Instagram. So the first person I followed on Instagram that I didn't even think of because I just thought she was so cool was Jezebel Thunder.
Okay, yeah.
And like
She
I
is
just
very
followed
cool.
her Instagram because I thought she was cool and she was so
She
beautiful
is.
and like fabulous.
She's gorgeous.
And I was getting laid off at my job and moving out of Oregon because I was working in Oregon at the time and was like, okay, you know what? Wherever else I move, I'm gonna try to have classes, have fun, do some stuff and do some things, learn burlesque.
Yeah.
And I did. I found the Rose Academy in Minnesota. I moved in Minnesota in 2021, and the first Black performer I saw on stage was Trey DeMark.
Oh, I love Trey.
Like one of the first ones, my first burlesque show, he was in it, and it was Valentine's Day, and I had gotten these tickets to go, and that convinced me. I was already going to the Rose Academy of Burlesque the next like week to start classes, but he
Okay.
was the first Black performer I saw on stage, and it was just like, and now
And
weird,
this
like,
was after he won the
yes,
Noir pageant, right? Yeah.
yes. Oh my gosh. So he was like, just everybody knew who he was. Like the chocolate drop that don't stop just walked on stage and
Mhm.
everybody lost it. And I was like,
Yeah.
before he even like made a move, before he even took things off,
Yeah.
he held a presence and made sure that everybody was watching. And it was so
Love that.
freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then also I got to see Foxy Tan, who was hosting the
Mhm.
show that he was in. So it was just
Okay.
kind of like, it just kind of all fell into place. I was like, I'm kind of in a around big people, big deals, trying to just learn burlesque. And here
Yeah.
I am still learning burlesque from them. They're still here doing the damn thing. And it's so nice to know them and know them deeper, and
Yeah.
to represent the spaces and places that we're in here. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was crazy. Yeah. And so, here I am 5 years later. I feel like it's 5 years later. I don't even know what year
Well,
it
yeah, I
is.
mean, this is 2026. You said the pandemic, you
In
started what,
2020
2021?
pandemic, yeah, 2021, 2022. Yeah. So
Okay, so about 5 years
yeah, it's been
maybe 4.
insane. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Cause like it's so good
You're
to
welcome.
hear those perspectives and doing those things. It brings me to the topic that I wanted to start off today with,
Mhm.
in community.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm exploring and I really want to learn in depth about is gaining community back and making the community like actually the place that we can all benefit from.
Yes.
So I guess one of the things I want to talk about in community is like I want to hear what your community is like, because I also think, we have to know each other in our community to know where we are. And I was like, I'm really curious about the New York scene and what goes on, and who you call, your community.
Yeah.
And two, I'd love to know what you like to contribute to community. Like you know, what is the contribution you take in community in this year, and how would you like to see your community grow? And I guess that's a little vast, but just seeing like where you think you can navigate your community to, or where they could be in the next year. So.
Okay. Well, okay. So, yeah, it is a lot,
Sorry.
but that's fine. I remember no, don't worry about it. I have things to say.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, so first
first of all, in New York, there is a very big Black burlesque community. There are a lot of us here,
mm-hmm.
which is really nice. I know a lot of cities like maybe Minnesota or, some other cities don't have as many, and I definitely feel fortunate that there are so many of us. Um, in 2021, I think it was, Poison had the idea to start a group chat, like a Black burlesque group chat on WhatsApp. And so I started it. I went around reaching out to all the Black performers. I was like, "Do you want to be a part of this? Can I have your number?" I joined, added everyone to the WhatsApp group chat, and it's been really nice. Like we talk about just regular stuff. We support each other. Someone will sometimes come in and say, "Hey, this producer approached me. Does anybody know them? Are they like safe to work?" Certain things like that. And some of us who have been doing it for longer can say, "Oh yeah, I know that person," whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we book each other, there are several Black productions. The Black producers are like, "Hey, I have this opening for this show for this month, or I'm casting for these months." They'll come to the group chat first before putting it out in the general public.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's really nice, and also it's just a fun place to talk. We share life updates with each other. It really does feel like a community, and there are a lot of us in there. Um, and so I'm happy that that group chat exists. I think it's definitely been helpful
Mm-hmm.
in us becoming community, because a lot of times, I mean, there are, like I said, several all Black shows here in New York. There's Frolic, there's Uptown Strip Down, there's a bunch of them. But outside of the all Black shows, and some of the non-Black producers who book multiple Black people at a time, a lot of the white shows will book one of us at a time. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that was also kind of Poison Ivy's purpose in wanting to have this group, was because a lot of us didn't know each other because we weren't really being booked together unless we were doing these Black shows, which are like monthly usually, but like
Right.
certain shows that happen weekly or like all week or whatever, if I'm in the show, I'm the only one. you know? And
Hmm.
so there were a lot of Black performers whose names I knew, but I never met them before. I never really had a conversation with them because we were never booked together. So this has been a nice way for us to all get to know each other. Uh, and also like, Boombox Burlesque, which I am one of the producers and founders of, when I had the idea for it, I was thinking about What the Funk and just the idea of a festival, related to one specific genre of music. And I was like, there should be a hip hop one. So I went into this group chat and I was like, hey, this should be a thing. And then Stella Nova and I Love Great and Miss Aurora Borealis were like, oh, I want to help. And so that's how that happened in this group chat. Like I said the idea that I had, and the three of them were like, yes. And so then we just kind of went off on our own and decided to start planning this thing. But the group chat was a big part of that because that was like my resource for finding co-producers
Hmm.
for this idea that I had.
And do you find
So
that
that's
like,
how I feel. Oh, go ahead.
no worries. No, I just was wondering, I was like, do you find that you have like a community that is more like, considered like you have one community here versus, having one giant community? Do you feel like you have like a cafeteria buffet
Yes,
style
yes.
serving of like, I,
Definitely, because there's a large group chat with all of us in it, and then the four of us who do Boombox, we have our own group chat, and then me and
mm,
Poison Ivory and Gigi Holiday who do Assorted Chocolates. Even before we had our podcast, we had our own group chat because we were friends also, and after we started the podcast, we named our group chat Box of Chocolates.
oh, yes.
But before the podcast was the thing, we had this group chat because we were friends and we were just having conversations with the three of us. So and then for a while, me, Abby Fantastic, and Foxy Bella Freak had one. Like I have like different groups of friends within
Different
the
groups of
larger group,
friends. Great. That's
Yeah.
like, and so do you find that that is helpful just in like interacting with others too? Like maybe you don't have to have the same group of people doing the same group of things because maybe you're cultivating possibly
Yeah.
just like getting different answers and getting different like,
Or just
diversity, if
different
you
things I
will.
want to share with different people. Like I'm not the large group chat has all of us in it, and I
Hmm.
don't know everyone, even though we're in this group.
Hmm.
Some of them are newer, or I've never met them, even though they're in the group chat. And so sometimes if there's something more personal that I want to talk about, I may want to
Hmm.
talk to a smaller group of friends or people that I'm actually close. Abby Fantastic and I are very close.
Hmm.
We talk every day.
Wow.
And so there might be something I just want to share with her,
Hmm.
or like Poison and Gigi. I'll just, we'll have the conversation in that chat,
Hmm.
So yeah, there's definitely smaller groups within the group. I'm sure other people have the same thing going on. I don't really know. It's not my
No,
business,
that's true.
but
No, no. And I was just wondering of like how much work that has to be because just even thinking in getting community together, like you said, you even had to like reach out to people to say, hey, do you want to be a part of this group? Like, how
yeah,
was that work? Like, what is the work even in getting community together? And it sounds like you have like all of the things you set up with and just kind of like cultivating your own
yeah.
system. It's beautiful. Like that's such a wonderful thing in community, I think. And wonderful things that, I think the world and like the system has already tried to break down, right? Like they don't, I feel one of my takes on community is the reason that like people can feel so singular or unto themselves is because we are living in a world right now that is so focused on singular person you versus
Individualism, yeah.
individualism.
Rugged individualism. I got up out the mud on my own. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and
But
which
like
for the
we're
most part is bullshit. But
it's bullshit. And like
no one accomplishes anything on their own or in a vacuum. Everyone needs help. Everybody
and
needs community.
everybody needs community and I think it's just so like beneficial and also you know what needing community also means putting in the work and whatever work
It
that might
does.
be
Yep.
like I find that so admirable that you just went around and said hey do you want to join this group because that's what it
Yeah.
this is low key is
Because
what
how
you
else was I
do.
going to get them in the group? I didn't have
Exactly, how
anyone's
are you
number. And
gonna
even if I did, I couldn't just add people to a group without their permission. I needed to ask permission
ask
first.
permission? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes, like anyway that is so great to just get to see and hear and how that helps you as a burlesque performer.
Yeah. It
um
definitely helped.
And it also sounds like it also gives you innovation. Like that's what where Boombox came from, right? You just were like, hey, I think I should do this thing. And
This should be a thing. And then they said yes. And I said, do you guys want to help me? And then they said yes. And so we did it.
that's I feel like that's just like also what good comes from burlesque and like out of it and
Yeah.
I don't know, amongst it. Yes,
And
awesome.
this year is going to be our fourth year, right? Like I can't even believe
Congratulations.
it's been that long already. The first one was in 2023 because we wanted even though we had less than a year to plan it, we wanted it to coincide with the 50th anniversary of hip hop, which was in 2023. So we were like, we got to do
That's
something this
right.
year. We did a
That's
one
right.
night show with mostly New Yorkers, and we flew Zyra in, and everyone else was like local. And then the next year, you know, we're like, hey, we're gonna do like real this time.
Real this time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
One of the other questions I think I had of just like of community, and like, how do you expand your community? You know, how do you, outside of, New York's community, your New York community, how how do you expand yourself in the burlesque community with other Black
Yeah.
performers?
I like this question. So, okay, for like the years of, I mean, social media is obviously a big part of that, right? Because,
Hmm.
you know, like before Gigi Holiday moved to New York, she and I were friends on social media, and we were like friends, and we would talk and stuff. And then when she moved here, it's like we were already friends because, you know, we had connected so much on social media. But for like maybe the second half of 2022, all throughout, and then throughout 2023 and like the first half of 2024, I did a lot of festivals. I was
Hmm.
traveling at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, you know, for festivals. And I got to know a lot of performers in a lot of different places. Um,
Mm.
and even aside from festivals, I was just reaching out to people in different cities. And like New Orleans, I did Teaser Fest in 2024, but before that, I had performed in New Orleans several times. Meeting, I went to Jeezy's Juke Joint in 2022, the
Wow.
last one that happened, and I met Queen Kwan there, and I met a bunch of people. I met Brick House, like I met a bunch of Black performers because you know it's Jeezy's Juke Joint, everybody's Black.
Yeah, everybody Black.
Um, and so then when I was like, hey, I want to go to New Orleans, I reached out to Queen Kwan. They booked me for their show, and then you know other people in New Orleans booked me. Um, I wanted to do Brookhouse's show. I reached out to her. She booked me to do Sugar Shack. You know, so
Oh
like
wow.
that's how I've been expanding my community, my Black burlesque friendships and stuff all
Hmm.
around. Is meeting them and then just maintaining this contact. And a big part of a big part for me is just I like to travel.
Hmm.
And festivals, I liked doing them. I've kind of taken a break from doing them because I just need to sit down, you know, tired. I was a
Yeah.
lot of traveling
Yeah.
in a long, you know, for a long time I was doing a lot of traveling, and now I just needed to rest and maybe be more intentional about the traveling gigs that I take. But I did so many of these festivals, but even like I said, aside from the festivals, I would just sometimes reach out to producers in the city that I wanted to work in and you know, send them a video or whatever you know, and that's how that happened. But one of the places where I become friends and like close bonds with a lot of Black performers is New Orleans. So there's Queen Kwan, there's Miss Juno, there's Simone Del Mar, there's Lorena, there's, you know, a lot of um and I said this actually on the most recent episode of the Assorted Chocolates podcast. Like the Black burlesque scene in New Orleans, it brings me a lot of joy because of how they you know how close they are with each other and how they support each other. And you know, it's not as big. There are not, I don't think, as many of them as there are here in New York, but they
Mhm.
are close. And you know, it kind of is inspiring for me to see. And it's one of my favorite cities to perform. Like my favorite city to perform in outside of New York is New Orleans. So I was just there in December. I got to spend time, individual time with Queen Kwan, with Simone Del Mar, with Lorena. You know, we got to hang out and so that's how I've been doing it. It's mostly just traveling, social media, and then
Mhm.
traveling and
Great.
then maintaining these bonds that I create when I travel.
Wow. Yeah, festivals, that has always been the question. I was like, people should get out to festivals. I recently
Yeah.
traveled to the Mix Ebony burlesque pageant where I competed in, and I got to meet folks that I followed online,
Yeah.
that like performed. And I, like I said on it a little bit earlier, I was like, it was such an elevated experience to be amongst those people. And I feel like now I have like new pockets of places that I also want to visit and I also want to reach out to and try to like
Right.
perform with these people again. Like it's
Oh,
amazing. Hello. The joy on our faces because we have a third person joining us hopefully soon is Miss
yeah.
Abby Fantastic. So once they're ready to get into things, we can go even deeper into community. Now that I have like persons within two community members, but I think it's so
Yeah.
great to
Who
like
live in the same community.
live in the same community. I'm just the person who loves to just like I don't know. I'm excited and I also want to get to New York. Like everybody wants to go to the Big
Yeah.
Apple and see the things, and also see people
Right.
like you, just performing and doing the things.
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Jen Ponton,
And I'm Lillian Bustle,
and we're the hosts of All the Fucks.
a podcast about vulnerability.
But it's more than just that. It's nostalgia.
It's unrequited crushes.
It's the mortifying moments that make you want to crawl back inside your own belly button.
Ooh, and somehow it's sometimes about pelicans.
A pelican allegory, if you will.
Oh, I will.
So if your heart has ever felt like a skinned knee,
Oh, you'll fit right in as one of our fuck buddies.
All the Fucks. A storytelling podcast wherever you listen.
New York just sounds like this cultivating thing of like you have community around you, which is the one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today was just community. And so basically, I just want to know what you think of your community and how you may have started your community or how you joined your community. Like, what is the Black burlesque community like where you're from, where you are, where you're all at?
Yeah, I think the New York Black burlesque community is great. We're all supportive. There's definitely, we're from the land of like opportunities. And I think that's what's so wonderful about it is that there's no scarcity mindset between us. Um, that I know that if there's something and somebody has me in mind, somebody's gonna pass me an opportunity. People speak my name in rooms that I'm not in. And I love to do the same thing for them. If there's something, like I remember this Halloween, I got a lot of offers for Halloween shows, and I was like, I am not your person for that, but I know who is, and I directed them to
Hmm.
all these other Black performers that I know are the, creepy crawlers, for Halloween. So like, the community, it's close, it's caring, I wouldn't say that all of us are friends, but we all have this sense of like community care, and
Hmm.
the greater good of like what we want Black burlesque to be and what we want Black burlesque in New York to advance to. Like I feel like we all have our eyes on the prize as far as that goes.
That's
Yep.
no, that's really brilliant. Sorry, go on, Rain. I didn't know.
I was just
Yeah.
saying I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just like I think it's we were just talking about like cultivating how that like diversity, right? And also like I love that you brought up the fact of like everybody is not friends.
Mhm.
Like you know what in
Right. And they
community
don't have to be.
and they don't have to be. And they
Yeah.
do not have to be. Like that's also the thing of like understanding what community is. It's speaking your room or speaking your name in rooms that you're not in. It's making sure that you're like, you know what, that's not for me, but I'm going to put you on to somebody I know who has the
Yeah.
vibes you're looking for. Like that's what I love speaking to community about of like
Yeah.
what it actually means. It means, all of us making sure we have a piece of the pie, part in the
Yeah.
pot kind of deals. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to know one of the things that I'm interested in also knowing is like how people are putting in work into community, like because community is a lot of work. Is there anything in particular you find that you do specifically for your community?
I've always been a nurturer,
Yes.
and an activist. In my younger years, I definitely was always out on the front lines, out, pounding the pavement, trying to get people involved. This is something that I learned from, my grandfather was Black Panther. He was also a part of SNCC. My grandmother was an activist, my mother, an activist in the 90s, So like this is something that I've always done. But as I've gotten older, I realize that like not everybody is meant for the front lines, but that doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. And for me, as I became a mom, I became very nurturing. So, like back in 2020, Staten Island is a very red place in New York, which is all blue.
Mm.
But Staten Island was where I was. I had a lot of friends who were going out to protest. So I was handing out, care kits that they would need, come, come meet
Wow.
me here. Here's water. Here's a bandana to put over your face. This is what you do. If there's tear gas, this is what you do. If you get caught and you need to, get a hold of your family or your friends, I would feed people before and after protests. Um, and that's something I still really love to do is like feed people, nourish people. Um, it's so funny because I was originally somebody who didn't like to cook at all. And now I'm like, I'm like, yeah, come over and eat. When things were really tough with like SNAP and everything like that.
Mhm.
I secretly was like running a pantry out of my apartment
Yeah.
for especially for like people who are artists. I'm like, come on over here and get you some of this. Like um, so that's really been my approach to community care is just like
Mhm.
all the things I can do to take care of people who are the people that are going to take care of all of us,
Mhm. That sounds like,
Yeah.
yes, community has deep roots.
Yeah.
Reign Supreme,
So,
same question. Like, Reign,
yeah.
what do you think like to contribute to community?
Um, yeah, so I think one of the things that I think I have that I can contribute is the fact that I have a day job,
Mm.
So like for example, during 2020, we're in 2020 when a lot of people were out of work, a lot of performers didn't have, health insurance or backups or things like that. I produced an all black show for Juneteenth. I made it free for black people and split the proceeds. We made a lot of money actually. We had international viewers and all kinds of things. It was free for anyone black to attend. It was on Vimeo, and then we split the thing with all the performers. But I remember specifically one thing I did. I had because of my job, I have like a pre-tax transportation account where money comes from my check before tax and it goes into a thing for like Metro cards or whatever.
So smart.
And at one point, I don't remember. Oh, I think it's probably when I was on my leave of absence. I wasn't buying Metro cards, or I didn't really. I had like a buildup of a lot of money, so I just went into our group chat and I was like, "Hey, who needs a Metro card?" And and I bought like monthly Metro cards for whoever needed them, that kind of thing. Like I've decided because there's so many problems going on in the world and it's very overwhelming to look at all of this and look at the big picture. I was like, if I zoom in immediately on my immediate community, what can I do for them? Like I know there have been times when Abby and I, like I said, Abby and I are pretty close. We talk all the time. There have been times when, she's sick or something, and I'm like, "Oh, you want me to buy dinner for the kids? Like, I'll send them pizza or whatever." And then, same thing. I have like a stomach condition. There have been times when, I haven't eaten for days because my stomach is, and Abby will send me groceries. Like, she sent me coconut water and like Jello, different things, So
Wow.
like, the community care. Like, she said she loves to feed people. When she said that, that was the first thing I thought about. Like, oh yeah, when I was sick, Abby like, sent groceries to my house because I was too weak to go out myself. I hadn't eaten in days, and I really couldn't eat. But once I got better, I had stuff to eat because Abby sent me like crackers and Jello and coconut water and regular water and like,
And
Mhm.
Rain, I think the other thing that you do so well for community is,
oh yeah, let's hear it.
yeah, like you're well, one, I find you just incredibly wonderful and charismatic, and you do speak your mind. And like being around you, you have taught me a lot about speaking up when things are not acceptable in the
Okay.
moment.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
taught me about speaking up when people need help. Um, and
Have
and
I?
just how to like, and just how to charismatically and efficiently spread information. You are really good at that.
Ooh.
If we all need to be in a place somewhere to get something done, um, I can count on Rain to tell me where I need to be and what needs to be done.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't even tell her
wow.
to say. I didn't even tell her to say that.
Look at that.
Thank you, Abby. Thank
Yeah.
you for saying that.
Goodness.
That's
Well, and it
oh
also just sounds like it's like it sounds like there's in community, everybody has a role and you kind of fill in where you can. And like, you
Yeah,
may think you're contributing one thing, but you talk to someone in the community and you're like, actually,
right. They're like, actually, this is what you've done for me. And I think that what Abby is saying, like, is not something I probably would have thought of myself, but I do, maybe because, I was raised in a very Black community. My mother is an academic, but I read a lot. I read a lot of books. I've always reading is like, I won the spelling bee in second grade. I got a library card when I was 5. I have LeVar Burton's words in his handwriting that he wrote for me, tattooed on my leg.
hey.
But so like books are like my shit. But I feel like I've become so radicalized in like the last 5 or 6, well, actually maybe like 15 years. And I do think because of the fact that I read so much, I do think I'm good with words.
Great communicator.
I think I'm a really, and maybe the neurodivergence also has something to do with it because I like to be very clear when I speak. I don't want there to be any misunderstandings. I don't like repeating myself, and I don't like to be misunderstood.
And who I was like, I don't think that's what Miss Nina Simone said. Please don't let me be misunderstood.
Let me be misunderstood. Yeah, exactly.
I think that my friendship with Rain has helped me to, like there's when you're confronted with something, there's like that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn reaction. And I used to be one of those people that in a moment I would freeze, and I would know that like somebody was talking at me sideways or something I would step into a room and feel like something was not quite right. But I don't think that I had the courage to confront it usually in a moment sometimes. Whereas I feel like, my friendship with Rain has made me very much more aware of the ways in which I react to things. And it's made me want to do more in a moment.
I love that. Listen, if I can encourage you to do I love that. I love that you said that. I love that that's what you feel like I've done for you because that's what I want to do for my friends.
Because you're Sagittarius. You're,
exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Like the I'm very practical and pragmatic. I'm Capricorn. So like, I'm
fiery, but I'm the Sagittarius, so I'm like the old fire. So I have the wisdom behind the fire.
That's so brilliant. I like to just say in real time of like, this is what I want community to be. Community, like, like I think seeing yourself reflected too. And like, I think when you're getting,
I had no idea that Abby was I didn't know that was how you felt. I love that.
And I think we should have more of that. And like, oh my gosh. Even in talking about expanding too, because we talked about communities outside of your community. Is there any community that you find connected and how you got connected to them? And how do you see yourself expanding your community in 2026? Abby, do you have any thoughts?
It's just in the past few years where I've really embraced being queer. I was in I was in a heterosexual marriage. I have and have children. And there was a time where I would actually excuse myself out of queer conversations. Just because I was like, well, I don't feel like I'm enough of the part to have a concern about what's going on or to add anything to a conversation. And, I started to realize like bisexual and like pansexual or erasure is like a real thing.
Especially for women who are in heterosexual relationships or who have been in heterosexual relationships.
And so it was like, that is something I'm still trying to, do more of these days is really, connect with queer people and queer communities as a queer person and not just as like somebody like that has one foot in, is hanging on on the outside, like to really say, you know what, like I am queer, like I'm not an ally, this is how I am.
I'm here and I'm queer.
Exactly. And my joint pain is moderate to severe.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, me and myself, I'm also in a heterosexual marriage man right now, and I'm pansexual. So I was just like, and he more than ever, he's like, oh, My wife is just looking at these ladies again. Please excuse me. Yes. Anyway, no, just I can see that and just feeling. Is there any other intersections that you feel like you have to also like touch on within community? Like for instance, I'm a fat person. I'm in a fat body, and I'm navigating that. I find that I have like a community that is also bigger bodied here, and it's like really been helpful in just I don't know, being in burlesque and being a bigger body, there's other things you think about. Is there anything in community that you find like you're like, okay, here's another intersection of my community?
Being in a fat body, of course. And also too, Bounce House, yeah.
Ooh.
I run an
co-producer of Bounce House.
I was like, don't forget to say that.
I co-produce Bounce House. It's the longest running all plus size body burlesque show in New York City.
They performed at Lincoln Center.
Yes,
like a year and a half, a little over a year ago.
They had a sold out night at Lincoln Center.
The biggest. I've been to several of those shows. That was the highest attended one I've been to.
Wow.
We do the damn thing, and that's a lot of it. Is that when I was coming up as a baby burlesquer in New York City, there weren't a lot of plus size performers in New York City that were getting the traction that they deserved. And there was Jezebel Express, who I love. There was, like Broadway Brassy, Dirty Martini, but it was very hard to find like Black plus performers in New York City. And it was also hard to see that even these women who were incredible at what they were doing didn't have the same kind of traction as like their, thinner counterparts. And when Lillian Bustle and I met, we just loved the hell out of each other. And what we realized is like, we weren't in any shows together. They were not going to put two fat people in a show. Like, at that point, you might not even find two Black people in a show. Like
that's what I was saying about how we created this group chat.
Yeah. And so, it was selfish at first. We created Bounce House so we could spend more time together. But as we went along, it was like, we use this way that this show to connect with fat people and fat performers all over the world. And this was like it was actually a really defiant step in what came next in both of our careers, because we were, especially after the pandemic, there became this pendulum swing back in the other direction where it was like, we want skinny bodies, that's what sells, we want to make money, nobody's buying, and we got there and we started selling these shows out, and we were not humble about it. And we said this show is doing great, and it's because we give and expect more from our audience. And if you're telling me you can't find one single fat person, one single Black person, we know you're lying. We are,
let alone a fat Black person.
Exactly. We know you are lying. And I'm like, and that's a you problem. Don't say it's a ticket problem. Like, that is a you problem. And but that's the truth. Like, a lot of producers have a bias against.
That's what it is. It's their own bias.
It's their own bias.
I've been to most of the Bounce House shows, and they are the most like I never see shows as full as these shows are. They have a very loyal fan base at Bounce House. Like I said, that Lincoln Center, the room was packed. People were standing up. I'd never seen that atrium that full before.
Wow.
And I've been, Pearl Noir had a show there. It was well attended, but it was not as well attended as Bounce House.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think it's really, really important now, especially like as we're seeing like Ozempic culture, and we're seeing people, want to shrink their bodies and shrink their personalities to fit, because people are saying taking these shots is easy. And if you're not doing this, then there's something wrong with you, because why would you not want to be skinny,
Right? It's as easy as getting a shot. So easy.
Yeah. And
forget about the fact that you might be happy with what you look like.
Exactly.
What a
Maybe you
concept.
don't want to change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. What a concept.
To be
And
happy
so-
in your body in the way it is now.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think it's even more important, and people, don't even realize, that intersection that happens with fat phobia and white supremacy and ableism and all of that. And when you're fat, when you're Black, when you're queer, when you're a woman, you sit like right in the middle of all of that, and you take that all in. And I know there were certain times where I'm looking and I'm like, okay, do they hate me because I'm a woman, or is it because I'm fat, or is it because what is it? What is happening right now? Is it all of it? I don't know. But that's why community is so important, because if you stay connected, it's so much easier to stand in your truth, because you have these connections, and you have people in your corner that if you stumble, you have a hand to reach out to.
No, it sounds like community has really just helped you see all of these intersections and how they can interact, and how you can produce one of sounds like most sold out thing in New York, bounce house, and
It's
just
always
get
a great
things
show.
together.
Always.
And just the last question of Abby, hearing that praise from somebody in your community that you look up to hear that bounce house is this big thing, that must be something joyous to hear from community and people amongst your community.
Yeah, it is. It's the reception to Bounce House has been amazing, but hearing, Rain, who is my friend, speak so highly of it is just it touches my heart.
The only time I missed a Bounce House show is because I was sick and I couldn't make it. But I go to all the shows. I bring people to the shows. I brought my partners to the last one that happened in
You
Coney
worked our
Island
merch table.
That's right. I did work. I bought a ticket and then they asked me to work the merch table. I was like, sure, I worked the merch table too. I'm a fan, and I'm also, friends with Abby and Lillian. So of course I want to help.
And I am.
And my friends like the show, but people who I brought to the show also enjoyed it.
And I am a huge fan of Boombox. So
I know you are. Have you been in? You weren't in it last year. You've been in it every year.
Oh no, I was so excited to just be an audience member last year. I had the best time. It's great being in it, but being in the audience, especially that night Pearl Noir performed. Was that
2 years ago? Yeah.
And she had the energy in that room was
when she pulled Marvin's chair over
to her. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I was the hairs on my arms all stood up. I was like, this is crazy. This is I was I feel bad for people who miss that. I really do. But
it's always gonna be another one coming. We just had a show on Friday.
Yeah, and being in the room where Boombox happens is I have to say is one of the best Black ass experiences I've ever had in my life. Every single one, from the first fundraiser at Coney,
she was in that one too.
Yeah, all the way until last year. Being in the room where those happen is incredible. And I always encourage people to give them their money. Go to their shows. Clear your calendar.
Thank you so much for expanding on community. We will be right back with another topic that Rain mentioned earlier. So we'll be right back on.
Hooray!
Hey.
Yeah.
It's kind of Piper Laurie and Brenda Vaccaro at A Love Child.
Thank goodness.
I want to know her.
Nails. Yeah, where's her series? That's what
He's
I want.
Fabulous.
The son is Joaquin Phoenix.
I know. Isn't that nuts? And he is an ugly little kid. I'm sorry.
We're just hey, remember when this guy was in this obscure Broadway show in 1976?
Right. Look at him in those tight pants. Yum.
Because there's not a lot really going on. It's unless you're listening to the dialogue, which frankly, audience at home, you can do without us. We're just learning
do your own work.
Some of these
Damn
backstory. but
Right.
Boswell put her up to it.
Yeah.
And then Trish had to be killed because she realized that Boswell didn't have her interests at heart because Teddy was the inheritor.
Yeah.
Playing her like a fiddle.
Boswell knew it, and Trish just gulped it down like one of those martinis.
And then tossed it onto the lawn.
And then lost her head. Poor Trish.
Trish loses her head. This is Viktor Devonne.
And this is Petra Fried.
And this is Tonight
on Murder, She Wrote.
Welcome back to WeBurlesque, WEView, Black Caucus. We had our discussion on community, and I thought it was wonderfully done. Thank you so much for your contributions to that conversation. I'm opening up now to topics that you two possibly would like to have here today. Rain, I think there was a topic you mentioned that you'd like to expand on, maybe for us to expand on.
Yeah. So, and this is something that just happened last week, and it just made me think. And so I want to talk, since we're here talking, I was like, let's talk about it. So last week I did an act to a song called Mango Butter by Duran Bernard. It's a great song. I love Duran. He's one of my favorite artists. Abby and I went to see him in concert a couple years ago. The song is called Mango Butter, and it's basically the whole song is basically gibberish except for the hook where he's like, I'm a bad bitch and I'm that nigga. I don't think you heard me. And so he's just saying that over and over again, right? And see, look at Texas. You love the song too.
I do.
It's a great song. I love it. I was very happy, very excited to perform to it. Abby was excited for me to perform to it. She was like, if I don't see video, I'm gonna fight you. She was like, when I told her I was dancing to that song and to this like live version of it, she's like, if I don't see video, I'm gonna fight you. Yeah. So like I made sure the whole thing was recorded so I could show Abby. But I did it at a show where almost the entire audience was white. And so I entered from the audience, and once the music started, I saw people get excited. So it was clear that the people in the room knew the song. There was one black person in the audience. I was the black performer, and then there was one black person in the audience. There were some other people of color, but not black. It was mostly white though. And the performance went great. Everyone loved it. But later, because I had the whole thing recorded for Abby, I watched the video, and I could see all these people getting really into it. Hyping me up. Like there's one point when I get off the stage at the end of the song. So at the end of the song, he does this little word thing, and then he goes, that assists me in being a bad bitch as well as that nigga. And he just said that, I'm that bitch and I'm that nigga. So like I'm walking through the room and doing that, and these white people were like hyping me up. And after seeing the video, I'm just like, this feels kind of weird. Because like I said, the whole song, the lyrics are all gibberish except for that. He says that part over and over again. And so seeing, having this song that has that word repeated over and over again, affirming I'm that nigga, and having these white people be like, yeah, hell yeah, like it just was weird. And I don't think anyone did anything wrong,
Right.
They were into my performance, which is what we want. We want the audience to like what we're doing. And they definitely were enjoying it. It was very clear that they were enjoying it. And I don't want, I don't think that they should have done anything other than what they did, but it still made me feel some type of way. And it made me think, okay, maybe I just need to be a little bit more discerning about what acts I do in front of what people. Like I didn't expect the audience to be mostly white. I've done shows at this venue before, and they're usually pretty mixed, but this just happened to be the way it was that night. But I did say to myself afterwards, and I talked about this on my Instagram stories too, because I was just, I like to think about things and then talk about them.
Yeah.
But I said, I was like, I'm definitely going to do it again because I love the song and I love dancing to it, but I'll do it at like Uptown Strip Down, which is in Harlem, an all black show that has mostly black audience, or I'll do it at Frolic, I'll do it someplace where I know the audience is not going to be mostly white, because even though I was not mad at them for enjoying it, it still made me feel some type of way that because of the song and because of the way he's using that word, it's not just thrown in here and there. It's like the refrain over and over again. I'm that bitch and I'm a bad bitch and I'm that nigga. Like he's just, and this is who I am, right? And so I don't want to make it so that I'm putting these white people in a position to either sit there stoic because they feel uncomfortable, and I have no problem making white people uncomfortable, but I don't want them to like just be quiet while I'm performing because they're like, oh no, I'd rather just take the element away altogether. So that just made me think about,
and you also don't want them to think they get a pass either.
Right.
Yeah,
definitely don't want that.
No,
yeah,
and that's. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you do. I think this is something that we have to think about a lot that I don't think like white performers ever have to think about. Like I have an act to Knickers by Jadena, and it's the same thing. All my niggas show up, like, and I remember doing it in mixed company and being like, like and it's like I think I gotta reserve that one. Yeah.
Like on second thought.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just interesting to note of like you made sure as a person you're like, I saw this and this is something I want to shift and I want to change. Like, has it made you also think of any other acts that you just have to be like, I need to know the atmosphere and the audience I'll be amongst in order to perform this?
I think there's always that underlying, that back of your mind thought where it's like you wonder how your art is going to be received. And it kind of reminds me of like when I was in college, I took a playwriting class. And I was in this class with a very good friend of mine, and we were the only two Black people in the class. And he was like, I have this amazing idea that I want to write. He was like, if I write this idea, he was like, they're going to say it's a Black play. And it's just a play that I want to write, and it could be done with anybody, but just because I wrote it, they're going to say it's Black, it's a Black play. And it's, he was like, and it's not going to be considered for the same, adjudications, the same juries, the same casting, the same budgets. And that is always a real thing when you're a Black artist, is like, how is your work going to be received? Is it always going to be categorized as urban? Or is it going to get the same kind of recognition and the same kind of reception that a white artist would have? And you can see that just with the discourse that is, involved, like Sinners, for instance, So I think, it's always in the back of people's minds. And like, I want my art to be received as very Black. Right. But but also too, it's like, I don't want to, just because my art is received as very Black doesn't mean that I don't deserve a platform like Lincoln Center.
Right. Blackness belongs everywhere it wants to be.
Everywhere it wants to be, it belongs. And the truth is that it's just not always the case. It's not always well received. It's not always welcome. It's not always understood.
And do you find that that's also how you all maybe navigate creating new acts? Like, does that change what you want to see on stage?
It doesn't change what I do. It doesn't change what I want to see on stage, but for me, it's a little bit different because there are certain acts that I prefer to perform in front of a Black audience, not because of like the situation with Mango Butter, but just because this is something I want to share with Black people. Like I have an act to Jesus is a Love Song by the Clark Sisters.
Yes.
You know that song?
I do.
It's a very sexy song, first of all. Like they don't even mention Jesus until the song is almost over.
Let's not go down the road of how like gospel music is really sexy.
Listen, I've got several gospel acts, but anyway, Jesus' Love Song was my first one, and the first time I did it was at Sugar Shack on my birthday in 2023, and then I did it at Juneteenth Jump Off, and I did it at Twirlisha Divine's Legends and Icons, and I did it at Frolic. So I've only done it at like Black, and when I did Sugar Shack that night, it's a POC show, but that night it was all Black. So I've only ever done it at all Black shows, and I kind of want to keep it that way, like because a part of me is like, yes, my art belongs wherever, and I also feel like everything I do is very Black because that's just who I am, I have Afro puffs when I perform. I wear my bamboo earrings if I have braids, like kind of like what Abby's got on right now. I always have the colorful braids. So like my aesthetic is very black. My music is always black. Like I'm black. So whatever I do is going to be black. But there are certain things that I feel like I said, I only want to share with black people.
Yeah.
And if someone else is in the audience, lucky them. But I made Jesus is a Love Song for a specific reason. Like I made that act because of my history in the black church. And, like I could do it for a white show and they would probably like it because it's a good act, but I don't feel like they would understand it in the same way. And so it's not something I really want to bring to a show that's not a black show.
Yeah.
There are certain things that I just feel like are for us. And that act is one of them, and not because of the word choice or whatever, just because gospel is so black. That song is so black. The Clark sisters, like the 90s Clark sisters, like that was in my house, man. We used to listen to that shit.
It was on repeat.
It was the Clark when Karen Clark came out with her album, Finally Karen, and even when I did the 10 songs, Victor's that was one of the songs.
Yes. Okay.
And it's but like, so I don't feel like it won't change what I create, but I will say like certain times I'll be like, okay, if I'm performing at the Slipper Room, I know I'm gonna do what the act is I know will get me the most tips, right? Because I'm working there, it's fun, I can do whatever I want there, but also the audience is mostly white. So, and they usually like what I do, but I have certain acts that I do there. It's also a stage show, so it's not a floor show. I can't like go in the audience.
Oh, and go and collect.
Right. So the tips, sometimes they throw them on stage during the performance, but usually it's like in the middle when I go dance. And so I when I'm performing there, that's my mindset is what can I do that usually it's just something really sexy. What can I do there that will yield the highest return? You know what I mean? Like money wise. And also it's a good place for me to like try things that I haven't done, like creatively. I can just because I have complete freedom there. But when it comes to certain acts like Jesus is a Love Song, and then there are some others like Now Mango Butter, it's like, okay, well, I feel like this is something that I'm gonna share with a specific audience, and that audience is black.
I feel the same way about my Soul Glow act.
When you just did that Sapphic show?
The one I just did. And it's really funny because that just I'm very into music. But one day I was just fucking around on Spotify and found this like remixed like slow drag version of the Soul Glow song. And I was like, I gotta dance to this. And I was like, this so funny. And
did you do it at Hairology?
I did it at Hairology. But like that's what what I rehearsed and what it ended up being was like so completely different. And in that act I added there's a poem that I found on TikTok all about black hair. And I added that to the beginning. But what I started to notice was like there was something cleansing and ritualistic about it. And it went from being funny to being something that people really needed to feel and needed to see. And at the end of it, I actually through the whole act I carry this metallic spray bottle that I was using to like, keep my hair wet. And I love it because it's a very like fine mist. And I actually inside the bottle with the water is Florida water. And so especially when I did it when was that? Was that Thursday? But when I did it last week.
It was Friday because it was the same day as the it was Thursday. One of those, I had a show the same night. That's why I couldn't come. It was either Thursday or Friday.
But when I did it, it was such a small space full of all these Black people, and the way the smell took over the room, there was like you can almost feel like the comfort happen, like, and the ease happen and the happiness happen, and it changed the whole energy in the room. And that's definitely one of my acts where I'm just like, yeah, this is for us. This is definitely for us. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, that's something similar, not similar exactly, but when I did Jesus is a Love Song at Juneteenth Jump Off in 2024, several people came up to me after, like queer Black people who said that they felt like, disenfranchised from the church.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing me do this burlesque act that's very sexy to this gospel song made them, it kind of healed something in them that they felt was broken because of the way the church treated them as a queer Black person. And, because like, and I think a lot of people have these stories of like church trauma, especially women, Black women, whether you're queer or not. Because even when I was in the church, I didn't know that I was queer, but I was treated certain ways because I was a young girl whose body developed early, and I was temptation, like all these terrible things that had nothing to do with anything that I did on purpose. It was just what my body looked like, but like a lot of people have that church trauma, and it's a very specific thing. And so having these queer Black women come up to me and say that, seeing you be sexy to gospel music healed something in me that the church broke, it helped to repair. Like, yes, this is for us. This is for us. I don't want to do it at a white show. And not because anything about the lyrics or anything. It's just like this music is very Black, and I think it belongs in the Black community. And like I said, if anyone is, I did it at Twirlish Divine show, even at Junior Jump Off, there were plenty of white people there because people were supporting the show. But like the show was all Black, it was produced by Black people, an all Black show. And the audience was mostly Black, and that's who I want. And if anyone else is there, lucky you, good for you, you're welcome. But it's still for us.
I think that's what I love about like watching Rain work, but also too just in general about like the Black performers in New York City is there is this almost it's not defiant, it's proud. We are really saying like Black burlesque is burlesque. Whatever we decide to put on that stage is burlesque. Whatever,
and it's Black burlesque because we're Black. Exactly. So whatever we do is Black burlesque.
And whatever music we decide we're going to dance to is burlesque. And I remember back when I started, it was like, God forbid I dance to a jazz song or a blues song. It wasn't cool, but then I could
Black
watch
music.
I could watch the same song done by a white performer and it would be okay.
Yeah.
But when I do it, all of a sudden it's like jungle music or something. Like
right. Or like seeing white girls twerking on stage, but for us when we do it, that's ghetto. But they have white girls twerking on stage or requesting that white girl. I've heard white people tell me that white producers requested that they twerk on stage. And it's like, that's why things like boombox and what the funk are so important. Because hip hop doesn't belong on the burlesque stage. Funk music doesn't belong on the burlesque stage. But why don't they? White girls have been dancing to hip hop on burlesque stages for a long time. And R&B.
Yeah.
Can I say I actually have been working on an act right now that I'm doing that I debuted at my show that I produced this month called Kool-Aid Cabaret, and it's by LaKaylee 47 and it's mixed in with Pusha Man because she goes, "I'm forever that nigga." And she says it throughout the whole song. So this would be
love that song. I've been wanting to dance to that song.
Oh I've created an act to it, and it's I think an act of its first kind because me as a burlesque performer being new, I never feel comfortable like in my acts being like, I'm that nigga, but
but you are that nigga,
right? And it's like that's what that song makes me feel. So I've been really conscious about like I wanted it debuted in February. I wanted it debuted at a Black ass show, and I wanted be in amongst my people with this song. But I also like kind of want to submit it to festivals so that I can get in and do the things and possibly other shows that will not be as blackety black, that will not have all Black performers backstage, Black folks kittening, Black folks in the audience. And it's just been really nice to hear perspective of like, okay, I'm not the only one that, is going through that as a Black burlesque performer.
Yeah.
And also just seeing that like maybe that's how I want to connect to others in the Black burlesque community, being like, how do y'all feel about performing and being like, I'm that nigga, the whole song went through, what do you go through? And so like it's very
like mango butter.
Yes. Like it's really interesting to hear that because I would have never thought about these things. And because it's with Black History Month about to end and everything, everything kind of jumps back to whatever else, is going on in the world, and where you might feel a little less comfortable being more Black, right? Or your community is not as Black as, others around the world and what people may think. Do y'all ever I don't know, have to think further on those things of how you are also connecting Black burlesque community together, and how, having these conversations are important, and I think we should be having more of them. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, I mean, a big part of that for me is boombox, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people who've done boombox, it was their first festival, because the burlesque that they do, they didn't feel like it belonged in any other festival.
Wow.
People who primarily dance to hip hop, or primarily dance to music that they don't feel is acceptable, especially if they live in a community with not a lot of Black people. A lot, and I remember talking to my co-producers, and I'm like, we're in a very unique position because we are a lot of people's first festivals. For that specific reason. Like, several people, even in their applications, we asked them why they want to be a part of Boombox, and one of the things they said is, I don't feel like my work really belongs anywhere else. I can do it on my own stage, but in a festival, like, where am I going to send it? And it made me really happy. I remember when Pucks after What the Funk, one year at Beehoff, Gigi did her DC as fuck act. Samsonite did, I think it was the Shaft one,
Mm-hmm.
and Android Allure did their, all three of them did acts that they debuted at What the Funk.
Yep.
And Flux was like,
Wow.
I feel like I'm putting more of this type of burlesque into the world because of my festival. And I feel the same, because I remember when Abby did her Dreams and Nightmares at the Ohio Burlesque Festival, and I messaged Pucks. I was like, I remember when you said that thing about how you feel like you're like kind of infusing the rest of the world with this funk music, and I was like, yeah, because I don't know how much hip hop was in the Ohio Burlesque Festival before, or if they would have seen something like Dreams and Nightmares, but Abby did it first at Boombox, and then she applied to Ohio Burlesque Festival, got in with it, and did it there. So it's like, now there's going to be more hip hop acts in the world in all these other festivals, because people are creating them to be a part of Boombox,
and
or people are applying to Boombox with them because now they feel like there's a place for what they do.
And honestly too, even to go even further back, my first festival was Fatlesque, Northwest, which is also produced by Pucks. And before that festival, Pucks really took a chance on me, because the act that I did there was the Figaro act to Babatunde's hip opera version of that song. And
oh wow.
And I remember nobody really, I mean, I love that act, and nobody really took it that seriously. I think before I had it on the shelf for a really long time, because people were like, I don't get it, except for Viktor had it at Rock Bar. I think actually more than once. And I remember the first time I did it there, a hush came over the crowd.
Oh wow.
And they were just like, what the hell? And then it was like, woo. But
it's art. It's art.
Yeah,
You've ever heard of it?
But it was something that I thought I was going to have to put on the shelf for a while. And Pucks is the first person who recognized this as something, the way I felt about it. And once it hit the stage there, it hit the triple door, it was like, it took off. And then I was at Ohio, then I was in Colorado, then I was
you just started moving and shaking everywhere.
Then I was at Beehoff.
In Panama, and Beehoff, and Panama, and France. That act has taken you literally around the world.
Literally around the world.
God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I will say, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I was like, but I think again, I owe it to a Black queer person seeing me and seeing my vision for what it was. That's really the long and the short of it. And that's why I don't hesitate. If there's something that I'm doing and it feels good to me, I'm gonna put it on the stage. I know somewhere somebody needs to see it or wants to see it.
Yep. And I will say, because the Figaro, Victor had it. You did it at one of the White Elephant,
Mhm.
the Silver Tusk Awards,
Yep.
right? One of the Silver Tusk Awards.
Yes.
And that was the first time I saw it, and it's what made me say, okay, I'm gonna make an act to Annie Up, because
Yep.
I had the idea for a long time, but I saw Abby do that act and I was like, this is hip hop. I could make my Annie Up act. Why not? You know, and I
Why
did it at the
not?
first Boombox show. Yeah. And so it was Abby who inspired me to do the first hip hop act that I made, because I
That's
saw
so
that
weird.
I remember putting on Facebook. I was like, okay, I saw Abby do uh the Figaro act at White Elephant or Silver Tusk last night, and now I really want to do my Annie Up act that I've had in my head for a long
Mhm.
time, and I finally did it at the first
Yep,
Boombox
I remember
show.
being like, do it. Yes, do it.
Gosh, another thing of just like community, inspiring community. Like it's
Yeah.
such a cycle and circle, and the more you cultivate it, the more it grows, and it grows you, and it grows other people. Like I love the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So is there anything else anybody would like to expand on, talk about?
I don't think so.
No? Victor. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Mhm,
And we're gonna like talk about what we have coming up
mhm,
and like where to follow us. Yeah.
mhm. Yay.
Clean I'm gonna clean my
I
apartment.
don't I it's
I'm
every
gonna
day
clean my
snow day here in Minnesota. Okie dokie.
Thanks.
Thank you both so much for being here and having a conversation. I hope it was a delightful one. I hope it was one that was,
Yeah.
you're able to expand on and think about more and maybe share on your Instagrams or platforms that you have. Speaking of Instagrams, platforms, and all those things, you can follow We Burlesque, We View Black Caucus, and you can follow them on We Burlesque Instagram, Facebook. There's the site. So please do not forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe. With that being said, I'd love to introduce our folks that we talked to this time with Reign Supreme. Reign, can you please share with the folks where they can follow you, where they can find you?
Okay, so I am at Reign Supreme, RAIN Supreme NYC on Instagram. And I am Reign Supreme on Venmo, Supreme Reign on Cash App.
And
You can
reparations.
follow Boombox Burlesque. It's just Boombox Burlesque on Instagram and Facebook. And you can follow Assorted Chocolates, a Black Burlesque podcast. It's Assorted Chocolates podcast on Instagram.
Which, if you're not
And
listening to, you should be.
right.
Absolutely.
Currently, it's just on Spotify, but we're working on, other platforms, because I know a lot of people have decided to do away with Spotify for a good reason. But currently, right now, that's the only place it's available. But we are working on it. Applications for the 2026 Boombox Burlesque Festival will be opening soon in March. So stay tuned for that. If you got a rap music act, we want to
I
see
think I
it.
have one. I think I could. So I'll be
Yes.
applying.
So, you submit your act. I want to see your LaKayla 47. I want to see what you got. Submit it. I love
Yeah.
LaKayla 47. So do
And
we
is there
all.
any shows that are coming up that you are in that we can see you perform?
Yes. And Abby and I are actually both in this show, but Hairology is coming back in March to Lincoln Center. It's going to be there on March 20th. It's a free show, so if you're in New York, come on down. It's Hairology is an all-black burlesque and drag introspective on black hair and cultural appropriation. It's one of the things that I am the most proud to be a part of. Like, it's a core cast.
100.
Every time it's the same cast, and then we have guests sometimes, but like I love it. My mom came to the first one. Um, we have a panel discussion after the show. The show is interspersed with videos of us talking about our hair and answering questions, and clips from the media and stuff like that. It's a really, really good and important, powerful show. So March 20th at Lincoln Center. You can go to Frolic. Is it Frolic Burlesque on Instagram
Mhm.
for more information about that? Foxy's posted on there. But that's March 20th. So that's coming up soon.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
And the Assorted Chocolates podcast comes out on the 19th episode, the 19th of every month. Our season 3 finale is going to be on March 19th. But currently, the February Black History Month Black Joy episode is out.
Brilliant. Hopefully everybody is going out and listening to that while they can. Abby, fantastic. Please tell us how we can keep connected with you. Where can we find you?
Yeah, so I'm Ms. Abby Fantastic on Instagram. That's MS Abby Fantastic. That's Instagram. I'm also Abby Fantastic on Venmo. Wink. And also you can follow Bounce House on Instagram at Bounce House Show. And Bounce House will be back in the spring when we thaw out.
I can't wait. Hopefully it's not when I'm out of town. But yes, can't wait.
And yes, just like Rain said, I'm going to be in Hairology on March 20th at Lincoln Center. I'm really excited to step back on the Lincoln Center stage for the second time. And also, what else is exciting? Send all your good vibes, because in April I am competing for Queen of the Sicily Burlesque Festival in April. So
international
oh goodness.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So that's I've been doing a lot of stretching and preparing myself for a flight.
Listen, it's no joke. They making these planes smaller and less friendly for people who are bigger, fatter, or even just have more hips. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, and long legs.
And long legs.
For me, I have long legs. Yeah.
Dang. So you know all about the joys of trying to
Not
travel.
all about it, but I know about that one specific one.
Well, good luck to you, Abby, and sending you all the good vibes. Oh gosh, and I'm Texas Tea Cakes.
Yeah,
I've been moderating things and doing stuff. You can find me on Instagram at Texas Tea Cakes MPLS. I'm also on Facebook on Texas Tea Cakes. I'm also Texas Tea Cakes on Venmo, in case anybody's feeling generous. My next show that I have coming up is just a couple of local shows. Fanny Pack, which is a roller derby show that is with Queenie Von Curves, and we are raising funds to help those that have been affected by ice. And then I'll be in another show this week that I'm like blanking on the names, but staying local, staying in Minnesota, and trying to keep Minnesota strong in these hard times. So that's where you can find me. That's what I've got going on. And
we love Minnesota.
Thank you.
Prince told us that Minneapolis and Minnesota were the best, and I believe him. I believe him.
Isn't it? Is he wasn't wrong? I think he had something there. So
I've never been, but one day I'll be there in the summer, probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I'm not coming in the winter. I don't like going to places that are colder than the. I went to Chicago in the winter one time, and that will never.
Oh no, I do not.
No, it'll be all right. Y'all just come on down. Y'all just see what get your.
I'll come in the summer. I'll come in August. I'll come in July.
Okay, great. We'll have you anyway. We can have you as you as well, Abby. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. This is fun.
The WEView is a product of the WEBurlesque podcast network, White Elephant Burlesque, and Viktor Devonne. All commentary is that of the creators of said speaking. So if I agree with them, that's great. If you agree with them, that's great too, but that's what they wanted to say. I love them for it. Please support the pod by going to patreon.com/weburlesque or finding some other way via the footnotes, and follow these fabulous entertainers who dared speak up at a time when so many people feel silenced. Love ya.